Club León F.C., is a Mexican professional football club based in the city of León, in the state of Guanajuato, Mexico that is currently the champions in the top-tier league Liga MX. León has won the Primera División title 7 times, in 1948, 1949, 1952, 1956, 1992, Apertura 2013 and most recently Clausura 2014. They became the first Mexican Campeonísimo in 1949. In 1993 León was the CONCACAF Champions Cup runner-up, losing the final match against Costa Rican team Deportivo Saprissa, in one of the greatest upsets among the defeats in the club's history. They are also only the second Liga MX team to win back-to-back championships in short tournaments. They also qualified for the Champions Cup in 1998, but were eliminated in the semi-final. The team has been a consistent contender for the Primera División title since relegation from the Primera División in 2002. They failed to obtain the promotion due to constant mediocre performances in the playoffs despite good appearances during the regular season until the Clausura 2012 tournament when León defeated Correcaminos U86 6-2 and after 10 years were finally promoted to the Primera División. In the Apertura 2013 season they became champions after defeating Arma Copyright Rica 5-1, giving them their 6th championship star. The next season, Clausura 2014, they became champions for the second year in a row defeating Pachuca 4-3, giving them their 7th championship star and becoming bicampeones. In recent years, Club León games have even attracted non-Spanish-speaking soccer fans. In addition to new Spanish-language broadcast partnerships with Fox Sports Mexico in Mexico and Telemundo in the U.S., Club León also has an English-language broadcast partnership with ESPN in the US and Sportsnet in Canada, allowing selected games to be telecast in English on weeks when neither America, Cruz Azul nor Deportivo Toluca have a home game. León is ranked 29th in the IFFHS Central and North America's best clubs of the 20th century. History, early life. In the first season of the newly formed Liga MX team was with a Guanajuato team, so for the following sort the raid of a club, it is created from an application of Unión de Curtidores which merged with selection of Guanajuato changing its name to Unión León. The board began to sell bonds to the public variable amounts order to afford the expenses involved in having a team in the top flight, with money raised hired Directive Marshal Ortiz, Raúl Varela, Alfonso Montemer, Salvador Ramirez, Conrado Muniz Vicente Serrano, Pepe Cortez, Stix Ramirez, Elpidio Zarwin Chez and Joqua N. Sorstillo Dobles technician being that set. Thus it is accepted to be part of the Liga MX in his second season. He trained with the first-team players from Argentina and Miguel Ruggiero that would serve as coach and goalkeeper Holder Battaglia. It was defense, +2 front. Marcos Solio he scored 14 goals and Angel Fernandez. Debuting at Patria Stadium on August 20 of 1944 against Atlante which at the time was an important club with players like Horacio Casarien, Antola, Herr Ramos, Margarita Gutierrez among others, falling defeated by a score of 5-3. The following season, the 1945-1946 appears other team in the city, the San Sebastián de León. In this campaign a back in 4th place of 16 teams with 30 games, 17 wins, 4 draws, 9 losses for 38 points, was the top scorer with 24 goals Alberto Mendoza. In the campaign 1946-1947 club emblematic players arrived, one of them Adalberto Lopez, which becomes the first Mexican scoring champion team, scoring 33 goals. In January the team had a great campaign being runner-up with 41 points, as the last 8 tied at 0 with Atlante and a point of difference lost the title, but had a streak of 14 games without losing. Another important element was Marcos Solio, who highlighted with 16 goals. An unfortunate fact is presented precisely in the game against Atlante that defined the champion. That meeting took place in the Mexico City on June 1 of 1947 in the new Stadium Insurgents when in fact take place in León. This is due to an epidemic of FMD whipping the Baguio region, and that is why it was changed venue. That fact directly benefit the Atlante. Another fact that would go down in history occurred in the match against Latin on May 9 in 1946 after Florencio Cafferati wire accidentally touched electricity dropped following the goal of León. Realizing what had happened, Alfonso Montemar was launched to save the Argentine cable getting started. Subsequently, Cafferati Montemar deliver a penny gold with the inscription, F. Montemar Cafferati in appreciation. 1947–1948. Under the guidance of Jose Copyright Mara Acasalo, Greens lost 7 times in 3 of them by a landslide against Atlas Gold 4-0 and 5-1, which made her doubt if get the title, however end up tied at 36 points with the Gold of Jalisco in the first place in the overall standings, so it took a playoff series that took place at the Estadio de los Insurgentes Mexico City in the first game tied at 0, but in the second match defeated León the Gold by 2-0, with notes of Pablo Perez at 51 and Jaime Moncada to 74 feet in order to finally get the first professional degree. Adalberto Dombo Lopez becomes the first individual scoring champion with 89 goals. 1948–49. The first Mexican soccer champion was formed by Jose Copyright Mara Acasalo. He had overcome the outputs of Angel Fernandez and Marcus Aurelius. The title is defined in the penultimate round by defeating Asturias 2-0 with goals by Adalberto Lopez to prevent a tie with Atlas and Guadalajara, who remained a point, and León becomes the first to win the tournament Campeonísimo Cup after 3-0 thrashing Atlante on August 14 of 1949. This tournament likewise emeralds a worst rout in its history when Atlas will win 8-2. Adalberto Lopez again took individual scoring with 28 goals to become 3-time. Note that in this tournament debuted later to be emblem of the club and the city, the goalkeeper Antonio Cabejal with Real Club Espar plus or minus on December 2, 1948. 1951–1952, led by their coach Antonio La Cubed Pez Herons got his third team title. Antonio Cabejal joined the team along with the return of Marcos Solio, Sergio Bravo and Saturnino Martinez, had to compete against a Guadalajara that was directed by Jose Copyright Mara Acasalo and is showed very strong. León won both games of the year with identical 1-0. The penultimate round both clubs came looking for the title alone, Guadalajara in 30 points and León in 29. For the last day Chivas faced the Puebla in El Mirador and just get the tie would be awarded the championship. However, the incredibly 1-0 Poblano annotation Guadalajara Guadalupe Velaz is also the goalkeeper of Puebla, Vicente Gonzalez. He stopped a penalty Tormes Balcázar. Meanwhile León face Atlante, same that defeated 1-0 Lenel annotation Boza to seal the third title on December 20 of 1951. The best scorer was Marcus Aurelius with 11 goals. The following season the Shoal remain in third place far from the champion Tampico FC, who recorded 34 points by 27 points from León. For the season 1953–54 came the first bad tournament by finishing ranked 8th with 21 points, the best scorer was Juan José Olivero. In 1954–55 comes restructuring to make a match of 25 points in fourth place. In this tournament began the rivalry against Guanajuato, where you lose the first home game 1-0 and then draw 1-1. The best scorers of the tournament were Lenel Marcos Solio Boza with 7 goals. 1955–56, that season was increased to be 14 teams. The León dominated the tournament like CD Oro. Antonio La Cubed Pez Herons was the coach that players like Cabejal, Bravo, Marinilla from Scissors, Marcos Solio and Jorge Marek got the best streak in club history after defeat Atlas booting from day 3 to 21, would remain undefeated with 12 wins and 7 draws to lose their 1-0 streak against Tampico, and 2 end dates were suspended Olio Marinilla and causing a drop tying Zacatepec and lost with Puebla FC, prompting Oro. Clausura had 3 wins and a draw in the lead reached them both with 37 points, and forced to play a game more to define the title between them. That game would dispute 2 months later, León participation in a European tour against FK Austria and Lanús of Argentina, where he was a bad way-to back with a win and 3 losses. The final game was developed at the University Olympic Stadium, Mexico City. León defeated Gold 4-2 with 3 goals from Matthew of Scissors and 1 of Marcus Aurelius, and the March 25, 1956 added his 4th title, also get the champion of champions by defeating the Toluca, who was Champion Cup. The scorer was Matthew of Scissors, which recorded 12 goals plus 3 playoff game. The following season title Lion failed to get 30 points to 6 champion, leaving Guadalajara. In the tournament the Greens were undefeated in 12 games field, where they won 8 and drew 4. Osvaldo Marinillo. The scorers were Matthew 17 and the Scissors with 11 goals. In 1957-58 is in 5th place with 29 points to 10. Zacatepec champion but won the cup title. For 1958-59 León again increased its level to be within 2 points of winning his 5th title, stayed close when finished 4 dates to Guadalajara, won 4-0 to tie it at 31 points, however Chivas won 3 and a draw to reach 38 points, Lion of those 4 won 2, lost 1 and tied to Zacatepec. The scorers were Marinillo with 21 points and Alberto Echeverri with 7. 1959-60 reached the 4th place with 30, Alberto Echeverri under 16 goals. 1960s, 1960-61 remains in 5th place with 26 points, 1961-62 5th with 25 points, 1962-63 gets the same 25 points but drops to 9th place overall. 1963 same situation, 25-64 units highlighted Claudine 9th, Barbosa and Amador Fuentes with 6 goals, 1964-65 improvement to remain in 7th place of 16 teams with 30 points, Barbosa scored 10 goals. 1965-66 with 28 points is 9th, Luis Estrada scores 9 goals. 1966-67 improvement this season with 34 points in place 5 players Gabriel Mata and Sergio Anaya mark 9 and 8 goals. The event was the official opening of Camp Nou Stadium on February 1, 1967 with the game Saints and River Plate 2-1, although the Lion moved to the stage for the match against Latin of October 18, 1966 also gets the title of Mexico and then loses crown the champion of champions against Toluca 1-0. 1967-68 concludes with 35 points in place 5, 1968-69 is a demotion to get 31 points in 7th place ranking, as anecdotal evidence on December 5 in the Jalisco Stadium in a game against Guadalajara, Liqden 5 elements expelled him while the comparison could not continue and was suspended 75 minutes by referee Arturo Yamasaki. Players were expelled Gilbert Loza, Salvador Enriquez, Manuel Lopez, Jose Valdez and Rafael Chavez. At the end of the tournament is proclaimed singles striker Luis Estrada with 24 goals and reached to mark this distinction by 4 goals to Necaxa in the penultimate round. 1969-70 was exactly the same in points in place last season, players Luis Estrada and Sergio Anaya highlighted with 11 goals each. This campaign was directed by Antonio Carbajal. 1970s. For the Mexico 70, there were 2 technical changes. The familiar start Argentine Luis Grill, but before finishing was reinstated in his post Antonio Carbajal, as a result left with 33 points to 4th overall. Sergio Anaya new stand becomes scorer of the contest with 16 touchdowns, while Luis Estrada marked 13 goals. 1970-71 players arrive Jorge Davino, Roberto Salomon and Juan Valiant who scored 10 goals. The club was led by Antonio Carbajal make a good season of 38 points ranking 4th, then adjudged the Mexico Cup title and champion of champions by defeating the American 1-0. 1971-72 it's a 35-point regular season in 6th place overall and new account wins the Cup Mexico and the champion of champions by defeating Cruz Azul on penalties 5-3 in the first round. Luis Estrada received 2 bullet wounds that kept him out all year. 1972-73 initiate driven A. Carbajal but was replaced by Rafael Albrecht that served as player and coach, in which pups from the 3rd division debuts at half containment tremendous technical and physical faculties to Cobra to Martin A. Villanueva, after being selected Mexican sub-17 20ths. Then came the Brazilian José Copyright Gomes Nogueira, who led the team to second place with 42 points and get a 2 Cruz Azul, and calls his first league where eliminated Real Club Espar plus or minus with the first leg 0-0 and a tie at 3 in the back with goals from León 2 and Albrecht Salomon. At that time there was no tiebreaker by general location and away goal, so he must have played a third game in the Estadio Quarter Copyright mock where back-end goal tied 1-1 Albrecht, Criminal and León through themselves reached the final by beating Atletico 5-4. The final was against Cruz Azul. The first game was the June 12 goals León 1-1 draw Albrecht and Fernando Bustos by Blues, back on June 17 in Estadio Azteca with a 0-0 draw, again required a third set tie-back as performed in Puebla on June 19. The Guanajuato are defeated 2-1 goals from Javier Guzman and an own goal by Jorge Davino, by León Paul Salomon. This squad had players like goalkeeper Jorge Jaramillo, defenders, Arturo Razo, Hector Sanabria, Rafael Albrecht, Martin A. Villanueva, Carlos Gomez, Media, Luis Estrada, Mario Caves, Mario Ayala, Rafael Chavez, and strikers Roberto Salomon, Jose Valdez, Juan Valiant, Jorge Davino. In 1973-74 gets 40 points in fifth place with 18 teams do not qualify. The outstanding player was Roberto Salomon, who scored 18 goals, and revelation was the Cobratra Martin A. Villanueva with 6 goals. 1974-75 Jorge Davino is transferred to Potosi, while hired Daniel Montegaza and Osvaldo Batocletti. For this campaign starts coach Sergio Anaya, and then was relieved by Uruguayan Washington Etchemendy, who led the team to get the 5th pick overall lead product of 21 wins, 9 draws, 8 losses, 70 goals scored by 50 against with 51 points. The Lions was Salomon's scorer with 19 goals and again the Cobratra Martin A. Villanueva with 7 goals. In the playoffs, a series classifying Liga MX group, Cruz Azul, Toluca and Unión F.C. Libertadores Robin series where the most points made was the champion. Unión F.C. Libertadores faced losing 1-0, and tying the second game 0-0, then you win both games Cruz Azul 1-0 and 3-2, the third goal was Toluca and first with 3-1 win goals from Manuel Guillen, Isidro Caballero and Luis Gomez, for the Reds under Rama F.C. de la Torre. The last and final game in the Stadium World Toluca 1970 of June 26 of 1975 with a green tie would crown but did not hold the 0-0 win at Alo. Eschipia plus or minus AN under the 52 to deliver the championship to Toluca. Positions this mini-tournament for the title were as follows: Toluca 8 points, León 7 points, 5 points Tanas and Cruz Azul 4. 1975-76 was the first season that appeared the Shoal groups were placed in Group 4 with Toluca, Pumas, Laguna and Jalisco, also appears in this tournament quarter-finals phase. For the tournament Etchemendy be assigned back to Sergio Anaya. Season was replaced by Ignacio Jauregui. The club finished in third place with 46 points in the quarter-finals, lost both games against Club Universidad de Guadalajara with overall 6-0 outrageous. Salomon scores 16 goals. 1976-77 Sergio Anaya season begins but is relieved by Roberto Scarron for 29 dates. Anaya then returns to the last 9 days. Jorge Alberto stood out with 20 goals with 9 and Montegaza Salomon and Martin A. Villanueva with 6 points. The numbers were 12 wins, 15 draws and 11 losses for 39 points, leaving them in 10th place. 1977-78 Montegaza and Batocletti go to Tigers. As coach was the return of Gomes Nogueira, but went by Agustin Santillan was also changed by Roberto Silva. Was a bad season to take the place 11 of 20 teams with 36 points and did not qualify. The top scorers were Alberto Jorge with 15 goals and Calu and Martin Villanueva Cobrata with 12 goals. The latter is removed after suffering tear in his right knee in the Cuauhtémoc Stadium in Puebla, leaving a career of one of the strong players and technical born in León, Martin Villanueva Cobrata at the age of 22 years. 1978 continues to decline -79. Antonio Carbajal returns as a coaching drops to 16th place with 33 points, scored 12 goals. Kalu. 1979-80 located another disappointing tournament in 17th place with 29 points as a technician standing back to Gomez Nogueira that, given the poor performance, went for another known in Augustin Santillon. 1980s, 1980-81 is the crisis team to finish with 31 points in the third to last, as coach Alberto Reskin was first and then Alberto Echeverri. The best man was Concepcion Rodriguez with 9 points. 1981-82 This campaign came close down for first technical Walter Olmi ±0 followed by Salvador Enriquez, Augustin Santillon after he was dismissed after adding 4 draws in a row to 0, arrived our perfect on the date 18 unless the team when they managed to rescue 3 points to leave the problem of the playoffs by not lowering the Atlas and Tampico Maduro. He ended up with these numbers, 6 wins, 15 draws and 17 losses with 18 of 20 teams instead. The highlights were Ruben Omar Romano with 13 goals and Juan Carlos Roldan with 9 touchdowns. 1982-83 Coach Ricardo starts Fascio, but takes 0 wins 3 draws and 6 losses is stopped by Sergio Anaya for 2 collations which comes with a point, prior to arrive in November for the 4th time to relay Gomez Nogueira. I finally get the win in Week 12 when they defeat the Tigers 3-2 León visitors. The goals are the work of Zazinutu and Ruben Omar Romano. After the change the team went from last place to finish in 10th place with 37 points. As prominent players were Romano had 11 goals and 10 goals. Zazinu Victor Rangel with 9 points. 1983-84 As a novelty came multi-goleador Evanildo Castro Cabanu, which debuted at Tampico with 3-3, he scored 1 goal and missed a penalty, but in sports there was greater improvement than occupy 16th place with 32 points, as coach Sergio Anaya for 12 home dates. Jose copyright Luis Akives then came another 12 dates after Luis Grill 3 and again saves of the last places are Perfect who runs 11 rounds. The team was Cabinu scorer with 18 goals. 1984-85 This was the last successful team before its descent when our Perfect placing directs all the Emeralds tournament in 8th place with 42 points, the product of 12 wins, 18 draws and 8 losses. League ranks after faces 9 years in the quarter-finals to U of G and win the leg 1-0 with goals from Cabinu, in turn loses 2-1 goal was to Cabinu. León defines criminal series 7-6, and reaches a semi-final against Pumas was the first leg 3-3, goals from León, Juan Pablo Murcia ±0, Carlos Eusebio and Cabinu on lap falls 2-0 and the Olympic 68. Evanildo Castro won the individual scoring title with 23 goals. Prod 1985 only season there were 8 games as a result of World Mexico 86, those of León were directed by Julio Larios who delivered 7 points in 15th place. In Mexico 86 other technical short tournament Gabriel Mata starts coming out after 3 dates to have 3 losses and Jorge Davino comes to Racing 18 of U Club left in place with 13 points in 18 games. First relegation, in 1986-87 Jorge Davino starting in 19 days had 10 points entering reason Mario Ayala exiting a game and then the Chilean Pedro Garcia could do nothing to prevent the first relegation in its history club breaking 43 years in the first division. The numbers were 40 games, 12 wins, 8 draws, 20 defeats 42 goals scored by 57 against a 32-point sentence to relegation with Cobras de Cora copyright Taro that was the last. With 3 seasons in Segunda División de Mar copyright Zico, León plans a good team by hiring technical climb just at Toros Neza in 1988-89, Victor Manuel Vucetich that he could not run because the club was sold immediately and the overall lead in the final faces second division to Inter Tijuana beating 3-0 the round and a 1-1 draw at León could ascend the June 3 of 1990. 1990s, the Esmeraldas were returning to the first division for the season 1990-1991, directed by Victor Manuel Vucetich who debuted in the top flight and led the entire tournament, complying with a good job, leaving the club in 6th place with 41 points but did not qualify to be third in Group 3, and Martin Uribe Francisco P ± are highlighted with 13 and 12 goals. In the 1991-92 season, after the rise of Second Division, formed his squad with players like goalkeeper Marco Antonio Chato Ferreira, the Brazilian Milton Queiroz Tita, and greater club idol Leon, Alberto Coyote, Carlos Tubiates, Guadalupe Castaneda, Marco Antonio Bonato engineered, Edgardo Fuentes, Martin Pena, Francisco Uribe. Make a good campaign under head coach Victor Manuel Vucetich, finished the season with 45 points and 4th place overall. Bases in quarter-finals, Cougars won both games 1-0. In semi-final, eliminates Cruz Azul, a 3-3 overall tally. First round lost 3-1. Lion goal was finalized by Marquinhos, who beat the game back 2-0 with goals from Milton Queiroz and Martin Castaneda, moving more away goals, reaching the final to face Puebla FC, where Leon used the situation as the Poblanos were not concentrated to have extra problems. Sports, the Emerald tie the game round 0-0 and take an apparent advantage to Leon, where the June 7, 1992 the game was difficult to tie in regulation 0-0. In overtime, on a goal imposed Carlos Tubiates to 104 and an own goal Elio Rivera. At 1:06 to win 2-0 and lift their 5th league title. Second relegation, Robert Zermino was shown as an arrogant leader who took the worst decisions. For winter 2001 took players like Jaime Ordiales and goalkeeper Luis Islas tournament that went through last salvation. Leaders instead came Zdenko Muff, Rodrigo Valenzuela, Eduardo Arancibia, Horacio Hernandez and Efren Sanchez. All these movements caused the fall of the club that rescued just 19 points and was in last place, with La Piedad and Slayer to be his direct opponent to avoid relegation. For summer 2002 contracted players like Nicolas Sartori, Guido Alvarenga to Roger Negros, David Pacheco, Cesar Marquez and Gerardo Mascaria ±0. Americanists and Edson Estivia and Raul El Gusha copyright RREZ, in addition to the Leon Israel Valades, Alcides Gonzalez. From start, Efrain Flores technical, but with a dismal start, 6 games without a win is stopped. Then appoint Qatar as coach. Rafael Chavez debuting Atlante 1-2-1 after the victory, yet sowed 5 consecutive losses and 6 without a win to salvage a 2-1 La Piedad hurry that gave hope, but losing 3-2 4-2 Cruz Azul and Pumas' salvation was complicated because it had to win the last 2 games and lost them. Slayer, in the game, falls vital 3-2 home against Puebla and its descent sentence, ending Necaxa. Maximum dismisses 2-0 defeating circuit. The numbers of the club in this tournament were 2 wins, 4 draws and 12 defeats. 17 goals scored by 36 against, 10 points in the percentage, occupied the last position of 18 teams with 103 points in 104 games. For the convicted, 1.0009 Slayer below and Puebla. Now, with the decline in the city, several protests demanding that the government recover the club. Roberto Cermak meanwhile noted that the team had not dropped because they would gain promotion to occupy 20th place, and stated that they would not pay $5 million to the federation until Atlante did well. Promotional series was against Veracruz, where the leader had to swallow his words when his team lacked variance round, losing 3-1 with 2 goals from Carlos Casartelli, 1 Fernando Juarez. Leon pulled by Leandro Augusto. The second leg was developed before a sellout at the Nou Camp, where only Jaricos waited to take the tie to 0. To the despair of asking fans, Cermak exit. The game ended in formalizing finally decline. Liga de Ascenso. After relegation, the club changed ownership because it sells Zermino Argentine businessman Carlos Ahumada. It creates a plan to climb the same year. So winter comes 2002 and formed his squad with players like goalkeeper Cirilo Saucedo, Jesus Fuentes, Cesar Marquez, Omar Razo, Alcides Delgado, Jairo Abalda, Argentines Martin Villalonga, German guards, Paraguayans Julio Cesar Coleman, and Julio Cesar Yegros, but does not qualify. Summer 2003. Club gets the lead with 40 points in league, imposes on Tabasco 4-2 aggregate in semi-final, defeats runner of CTU 3-2 on aggregate, in final against Tapatio on June 12 tied the first game 1-1, in the back with 2 runs of Coleman 1-2-1 to reach the game promotion. Morning's rise could not be more emotional as his bitter rival would have to face. The game was played on June 18, 2003, the Emeralds fall 2-1 with goals from Ariel Gonzalez-Gers and an own goal, the goal achieved by Alcides Gonzalez Lions, before the repudiation of fans but still had a chance to reverse in a reauto. On lap and before meeting the Estadio Sergio Lecubden, Chavez was taken by an armed group allegedly hired by Lion executives to pressure the board to sell the club strawberry when he ascended, but the property was recovered by several local fans violently. Already in the end, the match became complicated. León tried to tie global lashing but did not give the advantage, and 11 minutes left. Josiah Ferreira scored the 1-0 and gave the rise to a reauto, and thus sentenced León to stay a second year in the Division of Ascent. As part of investigations into why Yamada Carts leave the board, the club was available to the PGR. In sports, the Lion for opening foreign hired his best division in Hector Alvarez that was scoring champion with 17. Plus Sarria and Fabio Claudio Moreno made a good tournament for 37 points but was eliminated in the playoffs by Technical Cobras. Was the Chilean Carlos Reynoso, then was deposed by his son Carlos Reynoso and directed the Edgardo Fuentes League. Clausura 2004 directs Jose Copyright Luis Aldivar, strategist who had defeated in the previous ascent. As reinforcements arrived, Diego Perón Atlas, Tecos Gilberto Adam, Ori Peralta and Luis Ramirez achieved the overall lead with 39 points. Eliminated in quarter-finals, Tigrillo's Copa 4-2 aggregate in the semi-finals imposed on Zacatepec FC overall, and 7-4 in the final faces Dorados de Sinaloa, where he won 2-1 on aggregate and forced to repeat a new series for the final for promotion. The first game ended in a tie with 2 goals in Lion Stadium, with goals from Perona to 83, and Luis Romero at 91 feet. For the visitor, Leo Molina framed 24 and Oscar Rojas 44 feet. And for the second game of June 5, 2004, lost 2-1 goals Christian Valdez 15 and Roberto Dominguez 65 feet, by Leon Juan Manuel Guerra to 52. So does admission to the First Division golden and adds another failure to Leon. Since the sentence given to a Yamada club lost property in Santos Laguna, who recovered group model and property was seized, and a board formed by Adolfo Garca Ariza to manage the club, but no funds divested its best players. In the Apertura 2004 as reinforced by Jorge Almiron, Guadalupe Castaneda, Federico Estudillo, Marta as Urbano. As a coach was Carlos Bracamones that had a slow start to reach 10-8 was 12 points. But uprated at 32 points in the quarter-finals as eliminated by CD Juarez Cobras 3-2 overall. A curious fact is that in the game against him Cruz Azul Oaxaca, León celebrated its 60th anniversary, but could not realize because it would use an FMF commemorative uniform not allowed to use them, and the shirt had buttons, and the rules of the federation mark this as abuse, and to make matters worse the Sky Blues took the win in Estadio Nou Camp, staining the anniversary of Guanajuato. In Clausura 2005 comes Juan Carlos Chavez as a coach, in his make-dated 7=6 consecutive wins since he plays in the division after beating Wolves 2-1 UAP, finished with 32 points in 5th place. Hector Alvarez recorded 12 goals in the quarter-final defeat to Pachuca Junior 6-1 on aggregate goals of Sarria, Fierros, Castaneda, Esquivel, Sources and Mendoza. In semi-final realizes Coatzacoalcos 1-3-1 the overall goals of Sarria, Manuel Guerra and Bardo Fierros, so access to the final against Copyright Taro FC in the first leg at the Corregidora 2-1 win Cox many of Robert Nurse, Victor Mora, the Green Notes Juan M. War. In the return at the Nou Camp was unable to win when Armando Tavira shocked to 12 to get ahead in the Cox, until Leobardo Lopez tied the game at 50 feet. León could win and send less time extra when defender Diego Coca attacked Hector Alvarez, so marked a penalty in the 81, which was executed by Luis Romero but failed to kill off the final, and another failure. Angabin's followers seized who booed their players, causing various disturbances in the stands and visitors' battles against Copyright Taro. Apertura 2005 the team is led by veteran coach Agustin Santillan, as additions arrive Argentine goalkeeper Paul Sly, Thomas Banda, Jorge Colazo and Roberto Nurse, León gets 25 points, ranked second in Group 2, but in 11th place reclassification must face against Indios de Ciudad Juárez, to which eliminate won the first 1-0 and drawing 3-3 in the return visitor, and to eliminate league qualifies quartered runner with overall 4-1 in semi-final consume another failure by falling against Cruz Azul Oaxaca 3-2 overall. Clausura 2006 with Jose Copyright Guadalupe Cruz Technician finishes with 30 points in 5th place overall, to face Cruz Azul Oaxaca in the quarter-finals, get out then tie the aggregate score 3. General location -3 gave the pass to the Blues. In 2006 Grupo Pegaso opening is responsible for the administration to seek promotion, with coach Juan Carlos Chavez arrives in another league ranking in 4th place in Group A and 9th place overall with 25 points. Quartered faces Salamanca team that wins 4-1 on aggregate. Some players from that squad were Cesar Rios, Juan Rojas, Germa N. Gordos, Ignacio Hierro, Juan Manuel Garca Zivla, Irvin Rubarosa, Diego Garay, Jose Copyright Mara Akar Denas, Diego Mejia, Ignacio Quinteros and Bardo Fierros. Clausura 2007 joined this camp as Sandro Sotillo, Hector Castro and Sergio Bueno as coach, with 33 points placed in Group A facing Liga rank 3rd tournament, followed by Cruz Azul Hidalgo in the round robin. They lose 3-1 at home. The back-end Galelos advanced to 3-0 on December 10. In semi-final was against Puebla FC emotional series where wins round 2-0 goals from Hector Gomez and Ignacio Quinteros in the back with intense 3-3 on the Estadio Quarter. Copyright Mock Leones is eliminated the defending champion. In the end they found golden collation leg was on May 16 at the Nou Camp Lion winning at 3-1 goals Fierros, Sotillo and Mejia. It seemed that this time would be more likely to advance to play in the game upgrade, but the Sinaloa backed the goal lean as usual 4-1 and added another failure. Apertura 2007 formed an interesting roster with men like Mauricio Romero, scorer with 16 goals, Andres Ugalde, Edwin Borbo, Raymundo Torres and Header Pacia ±0. The team is qualified to lead the group with 23 points in the playoffs, was eliminated by Indios de Ciudad Juárez 4-2 on aggregate. Clausura 2008 continues Sergio Bueno forming another great tournament now with Freddy Barrero leader, finishes reinforcement in Group A and 27 teams overall leader with 35 points in the quarter-finals round, win 2-0 at Cruz Azul Hidalgo with goals from Freddy Barrero and Mauricius Romero, drawing 1-1 in the return of Jorge Amiracube goal. In a 3-2 semi-final defeat Durango with many of Borboja, Juan Carlos Rojas and Amiracube and reached the final against Golden, tying the first game 2-2 and Romero Barrero goals, turn held in Estadio Banorte on May 17. Wins Ligue den Barrero work 1-0-74 to get your ball game rise against Indios de Ciudad Juárez, which had a season ago eliminated in semi-finals. The round was the May 22 in Benito Juarez Stadium where Indians won 1-0. Both Carlos Casartelli, the return of May 25 at the Nou Camp when there was no border miracle, came out with a 2-2 draw. The home side put themselves ahead with a goal by Thomas Quinans to 23, and Leeds Indians draw with goals from David Stringel, 59 feet, and Sebastian more than 71. The tie reaches final 5 minutes of Hector Gomez. Time is not reached in the amount Indians fans conceded defeat and applauded the champions while demanding the departure of Team Pegasus Group. For the Apertura 2008, the owner of Club Ligue Den is not resolved. Pegasus argues that bought it, but Carlos Ayumada says it was through fraud he lost, so the PGA determines that Grupo Pegaso continue administering it, but Carlos Ayumada is the rightful owner, and while the situation is not resolved, this situation will continue. As a technician came Mario Garcia, the Emeralds to locate in the opening in Group 1, next to Golden, Academic, Tapatio, Salamanca, Real Colima, Tecosa, Irapuato and Tijuana, ending the tournament as leaders of Group 1 with 35 points, qualifying for Enfrentarse again Irapuato that the tournament had humiliated 4-0 and Ligue Den. The story would be different when Freseros comprehensive 2-1 win them and I added another failure. Clausura 2009. This tournament now was located in Group 2 with Dorados, Veracruz, Tigers B, Tampico, Pumas Morelos, Mexico State and Tapatio with an irregular tournament does not qualify to be in fourth place with 23 points. Apertura 2009 decide to replace the Mexican First Division A by Liga de Ascenso, where groups are removed only 7 qualifying 17 teams that had thus reducing the Green Bellies not qualify again by adding just 15 points 13 located in place. Bicentenario 2010 On May 5, 2010 gathered at the Victoria Stadium to face in first leg of the final, Ligue 1 and Necaxa, same which was won by the Necaxa 3-0, and so on May 8, 2010 León wins second leg 2-1, but not enough on aggregate, wasting another opportunity to return to the maximum circuit to lose 4-2 on aggregate. Apertura 2010 After the failure of the previous season, León was a staff similar to the previous tournament, but with characters like Jard Borghetti and Blas Perez, being the most relevant contracts, starting the tournament with coach José Luis Salgado, and after a defeat and a draw is dismissed of coaching which happens to be for Sergio Orduna during your stay which did not add no point, plunging the club into the worst crisis in its history by recording a draw and 6 losses and therefore Satanio ranking as the Liga de Ascenso. After the failure of Orduna, was appointed technical director Luis Carlos de Oliveira Preto Painted, which manages to pull the team from last place in the table, putting it in the first 8 points of the contest, but failed to qualify for the playoffs due to tie against Guanajuato, leaving them with no ability to play Big Party Liga de Ascenso. Clausura 2011 BH Capital sold the franchise to Club Deportivo Pachuca hiring several reinforcements as Julio Manza, Luis Montes, etc. reached the semi-finals but were defeated Tijuana Xochitl Lion was as superlíder table and Blas Perez as scoring champion. For the Apertura 2011 comes back to the playoffs, where quarter-final defeat to arch-rivals Club Deportivo Guanajuato by an aggregate score of 3-0, and was eliminated in the semi-finals by the Football Club Reboceros of La Piedad on aggregate 6-5 in the first leg of La Piedad won by 3-0. However, the achievement León to even things 3-3, the team wanted to go for the win and neglect the goal, which the Reboceros took advantage of getting another 2 goals in order to win 5-3. In the second leg engaging León manages to be gaining the score 2-0 and even the series, even the Beast occupied one more to advance, since La Piedad better placed in the table. The Greens fought to get the goal but all that effort went down when Piatti scored the 2-1, the picture is complicated and the end result as well, to add more to equipment failure. Return to Primera División, year 2012 new coach, the Uruguayan, Argentinian Gustavo Matosas, who began directing in the Clausura 2012 on January 7, 2012, but had been hired from September 2011, when even the upcoming Apertura 2011 and regulation issues that he could not have a presence off the bench or be registered as coach since he had been coaching the Cura copyright Taro FC the same tournament. The balance of Matosas' 10 wins, 4 draws and 0 defeats in 14 regular season dates, which resulted in an ERA of 70.83%, and as the overall leader qualified them directly to semi-finals of the playoffs. In the semi-final pitted the Correcaminos UAT, Key won by the score of 1-0 in the second match and faced the BUAP in the final. May 5, 2012, León was crowned undefeated champion of the Clausura 2012 by an aggregate score of 7-3 and the right to challenge again in the final de Ascenso. León was contesting his 4th final for promotion, against Guanajuato in 2003, Dorados de Sinaloa in 2005 and Indios de Jerez 3 tries, 3 misses. They played the first game of the final de Ascenso at Estadio Marta Gómez in Ciudad Victoria, with approximately 17,000 spectators, where the club León lost 2-1, besides losing Sebastián Mas, the team's leading scorer for the crucial match due to suspension after being red-carded, although with a headed goal from Nacho Gonzalez and a last-minute save by goalkeeper Meliton Hernandez gave hope to the Emeralds to reverse the score around in their stadium. The second match was played in Estadio León completely packed, with just over 30,000 spectators. Thus, on May 12, 2012 was the date of return of the Club Ligue 1 to the First Division, starting with a goal of Carlos Pena to 17 and followed by goals from Luis Nives, Eder Pacheco and 2 goals from Colombian Hernan Dario Babano, to realize a score of 5-0 to 6-2 overall, giving the promotion to León after 10 years of absence from the first division. The festivities began shortly before the end of the match in the main thoroughfares of the city, primarily on the Boulevard Adolfo López Mateos and the Arco de la Calzada. On Sunday, May 13, the team toured the city with the trophy, in a marked route from Estadio Liquiden to the City Hall, located in the historic center, this before tens of thousands of fans. Club León has just won Clausura 2014. Stadium Estadio León is a football stadium located in the city of León, in the state of Guanajuato in Mexico. Serves club often hosts León and some teams' lower divisions and subsidiaries. It is also used for special events such as presentations, musicals. On August 18, 1965 kicked the works for the construction of the Stadium León, and months later, at the end of 1966, the finished building that would house the Emerald team. On February 1, 1967 is inaugurated with a match between Saints in Brazil and River Plate of Argentina, ending the match on a score of 2-1 in favor of the Brazilian team. The Lion Stadium has hosted 2 World Cup, being the first of Mexico's 70, having as guests teams West Germany, Peru, Bulgaria and Morocco, as well as hosting the quarter-final game between West Germany and England. Already in 1986 he received again into the World Cup, just hosted the Mundial of Mexico 86, hosting the matches of the group formed by the Union Soviet, France, Hungary and Canadian, as well as the second round where they faced the USSR and Belgium. Its address is Boulevard Adolfo López Mateos 1810, Colonia La Martinique, CP 37500, Liquiden, Guanajuato, Mexico, and has a capacity of 33,943 spectators. It is divided into 4 main areas: North Header, South Header, West and East, in addition to more than 300 boxes. Rivalries: the oldest rivalry, Club Liquiden, is with Liquiden de Curtidores, a rivalry which began as a derby because both teams reside in the city of Liquiden, Guanajuato. La Liquiden de Curtidores was founded in 1928 and during its early years was the dominant team in the city of Liquiden. However, in 1943 when they joined the Liga MX team merges the Liquiden de Guanajuato, the name of Liquiden León later became the Club Liquiden, and so began the rivalry between the teams. Despite the rivalry against Los Curtidores is the oldest in Liquiden, the most important today is against León F.C. with whom star in the Clásico del Bajío and which have been fought exciting game in Primera División and Primera División A. The most exciting match between these two teams was the final ascent in 2003, which León won in Liquiden with a score of 2-1 at the Nou Camp outside courtyard and at the Estadio Sergio Liquiden Carves 1-0 with the climbing and achieved the maximum circuit. Current squad. For recent transfers, see List of Mexican football transfers winter 2013 Euro 14. As of January 24, 2014, note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Current staff: Manager, Gustavo Matosas; Assistant Manager, Sergio Martinez; Fitness Coach, Jose Copyright Altieri; Goalkeeper Coach, Marcelo Fernando Capirossi; Dr. Mauricio Soel J. Rez; Honors, Domestic, Primera División, 1947-48, 1948 Euro 49, 1951 Euro 52, 1955 Euro 56, 1991 Euro 92, Apertura 2013, Clausura 2014, Segunda División de Mar Copyright Zico, Primera División A Mexicana, Liga de Ascenso de Mar Copyright Zico, Temporada 1989/1990, Clausura 2003, Clausura 2004, Clausura 2008, Clausura 2012, Campeonísimo de Ascenso, Final de Ascenso 1989/1990, Final de Ascenso 2011/2012, Copa Mar Copyright Zico, 1948-49, 1957 Euro 58, 1966 Euro 67, 1970 a Euro 71, 1971 a Euro 72, Campeonísimo de Campeones, 1947/1948, 1955/1956, 1970/1971. 1971/1972, managers, Victor Manuel Vucetich, Sebastião Lazzaroni, Enrique Larcubed Pezorza, Sergio Bueno, Mario Garcia, Salvador Reyes, Jose Copyright Luis Salgado, Sergio Adua +/- Pintado, Tita, Pedro Mua +/- Oz, Gustavo Matosas, references. Full list published by IFFHS on October 8, 2009, external links. Official website.